Next up on the show, we welcome in a man I know from his exploits in the contest world. Love talking racing with him. Love the stuff he writes for us about Gulfstream Park over at InTheMoneyPodcast.com. His name is Chris Cupples, and he's here today to talk about Dornoch. Dornoch is a horse that a lot of people were having very much at the top of the market a couple of races ago. The bloom a little bit off the rose now after the Bluegrass Stakes. But Chris, this is a horse that there is still some support for. Very curious to get your general thoughts on Dornoch and what level of contender he is in this year's Kentucky Derby.
If you're a Dornoch fan, you're probably not going to like me. If I'm building superfecta tickets, I don't want him nowhere near him. He was a little bit overhyped on debut, disappointed. They ran him in a maiden versus stakes company. He loses to a horse that ultimately turned out to have to go to the turf because he wasn't very good and noted. After that, he breaks his maiden at Keeneland. I believe 4 of 6 of those horses he beat. No, 6 of 8 of those horses he beat are still maidens today. The Remsen race was impressive, but he's on his left lead, on the rail, fought back. If he would have been outside, that would have been a different story, I think. I think the rail actually helped him that day. And the Sierra Leone he run into that day is not the same one he's seen in the Lexington. You can pause your video when they're side by side, the Remsen and the Lexington. Sierra Leone is 2 different horses. Dornoch was a early developed 2-year-old. He looked good. He worked out good. Ever since then, he's got lead issues. He has to be ridden hard to get the lead, to keep the lead. The only option I see, they're not getting the lead in Kentucky Derby. He's never won if he's not on the lead, besides when he passed Sierra Leone on the rail. He got a chance.
All right, that's bold words, and there's some data behind what you're saying. I'll make the other case just to see if you buy any of these arguments. It's been discussed that this is a horse that runs to the level of his competition. It's also been discussed that they tried to experiment. The reason he didn't show so much speed in the Bluegrass was a deliberate rating experiment, and maybe he'll be better potentially adding blinkers and sending in the Derby. You've already let me know that you don't particularly buy any of those arguments, but I'd love to hear any counterpoints you have to them.
Well, you tried your experiment and it didn't work, and he's not fast enough to get the lead, so what's he going to do now? And if you do like him, I think you're going to take a cut in price because of the TV narrative y'all talk about on the Morning Line show. They're going to show the Remsen race on TV over and over and over. He beats the horse that's either favorite or second favorite in the Derby. Not to mention Mage's brother. They're going to harp on that. Well, Michael Jordan had 2 brothers.
It's a good point. It's a fair point about the sibling connection, but that is right for the uninitiated. And we have a lot of new people around here, Chris. He is the brother, Dornoch, to a Kentucky Derby winner. So you're going to hear a lot of that narrative, that idea that, perhaps this dam could have the winner 2 years in a row. That sort of more English-Irish way of looking at races form. Technically he has him on the form book, but I think you made the key point about that, where I think the idea that he outgamed him is a little bit overblown, because I think he was on the right part of the track. Sierra was probably on the wrong part of the track, and Sierra was coming off that long layoff. I think he also just, got tired late. That was a great day for Dornoch. Dornoch, I like him more than you do, but I still can't quite elevate him to that level of serious Kentucky Derby contender based on all of that.
Right. And if someone likes him, I don't want to talk him off their horse. The only positive to me is he's in the starting gate.
Chipping a chair, isn't that what they say?
Yeah.
These mini pods are brought to you by Free Reign Coffee Company. They've been powering the In the Money team throughout the Triple Crown prep season, and the coffee is fantastic. Whether you're looking for whole beans, grounds, or pods, Free Reign give you what you need to get up and get after it. And they've got subscriptions available too, so you never run out. Use our promo code MONEY20 for a 20% discount site-wide over at freereigncoffee.com. $4 million. That's how much original ITM Plus subscribers and contributors have won at the Breeders Cup Betting Challenge over the last 5 years. ITM Plus is the place for our best Kentucky Derby information, including grid picks from the team, trip notes, and specific betting advice. Sign up today at inthemoneypodcast.com/plus. Let me ask you about this race writ large for a minute before I let you get out of here, Chris. Who is it that you do like in this year's Kentucky Derby? You certainly have tipped your hand a little bit that maybe it's Sierra Leone.
I like Sierra Leone. He does have some holes. Lexington, he hung on his left lead, but there was nobody there, so he's pulling away. He's allowed to drift over to the rail, and he's got this funky motion about him. He has a turfy knee action, which it don't mean he can't run fast. He is fast, and I'm a sucker for a closer. But example, look at a video of Tapit Trice, who yes, we know he ran bad, blah blah blah. But look at the way he moves, and look at the way Sierra Leone moves. It's their actions are totally different. Their leg action.
Interesting. Yeah, you said Lexington. I assume you meant the
the bluegrass
coming down the lane there.
Bluegrass.
Well, who would be your top pick at this point?
If I had to pick at this point, it'd have to be Fierceness, and then he's, maybe I show up, maybe I don't. You're still going to have that in the back of your mind. I like a couple under horses. I like the Catalytic, I believe his name is.
That's a long shot in a big way.
I don't think he can win at all, but I think he can run underneath. The horse wants to run all day long. And Marie, Honor Marie.
Yeah, Honor Marie. There's been, including from me, a lot of love for as one to come running late.
But I'm not completely done with my work either, and I do not go as deep as I used to in the Derby. I have a lot more luck on the undercard, even though the Derby usually wraps up the contest. But I spend hours and hours and hours and hours before on Derbies, and you get mind that bird.
I'm glad you didn't say Rich Strike, because every time I hear the name, I recoil a little bit. Well, you know what? No good deed goes unpunished, Chris. Maybe we'll have you do some spot plays on the free side over at InTheMoneyPodcast.com as we get closer. Really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, appreciate it. Been fun.